in meeting parental involvement strategies. And while we're here talking about polls, we're going to ask you now if you would respond to the second poll question. That question is, districts and schools in my state are well prepared to meet the requirements for parental involvement in No Child Left Behind. And again, the scale is the same, so please respond whether you strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree, or you're unsure. And we will report the results right after the upcoming video. The next video that you see demonstrates for you parental involvement about NCLB with parents who have had the opportunity to become more engaged in training and programs, etc. These are parents who serve on site-based boards and leadership teams. So let's watch this short segment with a different group of parents. Thank you, and we'll report on the poll right after this segment.
This is a plan that will ensure that not just your child, but every child is getting the best education that they can, that someone is going to be held accountable, whether it's the school, the teacher, or even the parents, as why your child is not succeeding. Then it makes it possible that every child can succeed in life.
It's a wonderful program. It really is, because I think that it's a catalyst for directing councils and schools to involve parents and to be held accountable for what they're doing. Parents need to realize that if their child is having problems with school, that there are options out there. The schools have to provide assistance for their children academically. So it's just important that they know that this is a program that they should take full advantage of, and that it's not something to intimidate them in any way. It's out there to help them, to help their child in their educational journey.
Every child is going to be taught at the same level of excellence, and that bar has been set up here instead of just being down here. So I think parents need to know that it's not impossible, or don't settle. If you don't feel that your child's getting the best possible education, then they need to step up and say, hey, what are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it?
I think they need to know that even though it creates a lot of headaches for some things in the schools, that it's probably a very good thing to have happened, because it is making the schools disaggregate that data and look at how each group of kids is doing. And because it was very easy for the schools to lump everybody together, and if you had a majority of kids that were doing all right, you were looking pretty good. But then when you started to break that data apart, you would see that kids with learning disabilities aren't doing so hot, kids on free and reduced lunch aren't doing so hot. And depending on the demographics of your school, I think we were doing those kids a disservice by kind of sweeping them under the rug, and that the general population of parents didn't understand that some kids needed more help than others. So I think No Child Left Behind is bringing that out into light. It's giving parents access to supplemental services, tutoring, which they probably weren't able to afford in the schools where they're being provided. It's making the schools communicate how they're doing on the CATS test. I just think it's helping to open up the doors a little bit for all parents to understand a little bit better what their academic achievement is for their child and for all kids in the school.
It's so exciting to hear what these parents have to say when they're truly engaged. That's just terrific. I want to give you the results now of our second question. We asked you, are the districts and schools in your state well prepared to meet the requirements for parental involvement and No Child Left Behind? 7% of you said you strongly agreed. 52% of you said you agreed. 33% said you disagreed. So interesting results in line with the other question. I want to introduce our three panelists now. This is such a great opportunity to have all three of you. Each of our panelists will make a short presentation, and then we'll open up our virtual floor here to your questions. First, we're pleased to welcome Sharon Darling. Sharon is president and founder of the National Center for Family Literacy. She's been a classroom teacher, an administrator, an educational entrepreneur. She's a true education pioneer, and her work has been instrumental in shaping state and federal policies and the laws that genuinely impact society. She's been widely recognized for her work, and she's received the National Humanities Medal in 2002. Sharon.
Thank you. On behalf of the National Center for Family Literacy, welcome to all the participants of the webcast today. It's great to have you with us. Since its founding in 1989, the National Center for Family Literacy has made great strides throughout the nation in engaging all parents in the education of their children. You can learn more about our work and resources at famlit.org. Family literacy services provide high-quality educational experiences for children to improve their literacy development. High-quality education for parents to improve their skills and abilities in achieving their life goals. Supportive opportunities for parents to interact with their children in guiding their ongoing literacy learning. And guidance to parents for improving and increasing the parenting of their children. The overall goal of focusing on the family as a unit within family literacy programs builds a strong foundation of parent involvement because parents see they have an instrumental role in supporting their children's achievement. They develop the capabilities that are needed to make contributions for improving their child's education. They feel invited to be engaged and valued and respected in their role as parent and partner with the schools and with programs. There's no doubt that investment in high-quality children's education from a very early age yields returns for education and life success. Scientific research identified by the National Reading Panel has provided an intensive focus on reading instruction in kindergarten through grade 12 that is effective in promoting student achievement in reading. To add value to the work of the National Reading Panel and understand the role of parents in helping their children learn to read, NCFL has just completed work in consultation with Dr. Monique Seneschal on a research synthesis to really assess the causal role of parents in helping children in kindergarten through grade 3 learn to read. Results of this synthesis for a total of 1,174 families clearly show that parents can have a strong impact on their children's reading acquisition. In general, when parents were trained to support their children's literacy learning, they were more effective in improving their children's achievement. NCFL is currently coordinating the work of the National Early Literacy Panel to identify the scientific research that is most effective in improving young children's literacy development from birth to age 5. Early results have identified the early literacy skills and related interventions contributing to later reading achievement. And it's very clear, we can see from this research, that directly working with parents has positive outcomes for children's reading achievement. For about 15 years, NCFL has been involved in the intensive development of family literacy programs. Through generous funding from Toyota, NCFL has established family literacy programming in 196 sites across the country. These model demonstrations have greatly informed parent involvement programming. These programs range from sites that focus on the academic needs of preschool children and their parents, Title I elementary schools to improve literacy skills of elementary students and their parents, and improving English language and literacy skills of immigrant parents and their children in elementary schools. Evaluation results indicate that when these programs are sustained and supported over time, children in the family literacy program are consistently rated higher than randomly selected non-program children in areas such as academic achievement, attendance, and grades. Through the Bureau of Indian Affairs, NCFL has established the Family and Child Education Program to improve the lives of American Indian families by providing comprehensive family literacy services. These services are provided across 11 states, serving over 50 tribes. Through the implementation of specific reading programs between parents and children in the FACE program, children's scores on a standardized measure of expressive vocabulary have dramatically increased. We've learned many lessons from our work in establishing and providing comprehensive family literacy services for the most at-risk children and their families. The lessons can contribute to improving schools and student achievement through parental involvement. Some of the key lessons are that we must start moving from parent involvement to parent engagement, and finally to view the parent as a learner. And we've learned that children who are most at risk of being left behind in our schools most often have the parents who are also at risk. They often require more intensive help to be engaged in their child's schooling. But we do know a lot about how to be successful in helping them be meaningfully engaged. The use of scientific research improves our ability to establish programming that is effective in improving the lives of families. And we must begin any endeavor there. Ann Henderson was so helpful to us in providing some of that research and some of that background. We must build on that as we get our start. Community partnerships have proved critical in the successful implementation and sustainability of family literacy programs. We now know a lot about helping states give guidance to local communities on how to develop those partnerships. And by systematically coordinating and providing high-quality, intensive educational services to both children and parents, we can improve children's achievement and increase the ability of parents to achieve their own life goals. We've also learned that staff development and technical assistance is necessary for building capacity and sustainability of family literacy services. And we do know a lot to share about which techniques and strategies are most effective. We also know that strong evaluation components ensure implementation of effective services and the best use of human and financial resources. When we look at what we know about the strong influence of parents on child achievement, we know it's no longer a question of whether parents should be involved in schools and their children's education. But the question is, how will we use what we know to involve parents effectively and successfully to achieve our educational goals?
That's terrific. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharon. I want to also remind all of you, you can submit questions for all of our panelists. The box for submitting your questions you should find right on the webcast screen, and please include your email address. If we don't have time to answer your questions today, we will get back to you by email. Okay, now we're going to welcome Aurelio Montemayor. Aurelio is the director of the Texas Parent Information Resource Center. Also Senior Education Associate and Lead Trainer with the Intercultural Development Research Association, IDRA. Aurelio has extensive experience in working with school personnel, parents, and students. His career in education spans 4 decades. Aurelio believes in the power of community engagement for leadership development and effective education. He's a terrific presenter and an expert on the value and strength of diversity. Aurelio will share his thoughts today about the issues of engaging ESL parents. Join me in welcoming Aurelio.
Good afternoon. Greetings from Texas. My organization has been there for 33 years. We are advocates for excellent schools for all children, and within that context, our Parent Information and Resource Center has been working with all the different kinds of parents we have in Texas. A significant number of them are Latinos, and within those, a significant number of parents whose first language is Spanish. And parent advocacy for excellent schools is an important theme. The research that Ann and Susan have presented and Sharon have presented is very important. And there's one piece, though, that I want to just highlight in terms of valued parent leadership, and we use those words very carefully. Valued because the underlying assumption is that all families are valuable. I don't want to romanticize or idealize families, but we need to see very clearly that poor, working class, blue-collar families don't speak English, have a lot to offer, and that their assets is what we have to draw on and acknowledge. So that the contrast of the valuing versus the deficit point of view is critical. Within that, we have a kind of a concentric circle model that we work from that is parallel to Dr. Epstein and her colleagues' 6 keys, except we are focusing on and looking at it from the point of view of the parent. So in the central circle, we have the parent as first teachers, because chronologically, parents are the first teachers for the child. But not to look at how we can help parents be better parents, although that's important. The idea is to validate what parents have already done. Whether rich, poor, tall, or short, what have you already done that I connect to and want to validate? This is especially important who parents who come to us or who we connect to who have limited education, or even though they're very assertive in their personal life, I mean, they have this tenacity for work. Most families, you know, through great difficulties survive. And so that tenacity is somehow not present, we feel, when they face academia, and part of it is through a series of processes that validate what people already have. We start with a parent as first teacher, and then the next circle is as children go to Head Start or to the institution, to public schools, is parent as resource. But again, central to the parent as resource is not as a volunteer or cheap labor pool, but as the main expert in his or her child. In other words, we validate the resource that they are to me, the teacher, the educator, in terms of what they bring, so that you as the main advocate and person who knows that child the best, what do you know, so that I as school and teacher can put that together to best help your child succeed in school. At the next level, parent as decision makers, we see parents on committees and different ways supporting school, but not at the same time saying I have to put them through a whole bunch of training because they don't know how to make decisions. Connecting to the fact that every family with limited resources makes very complex decisions in terms of what food they're going to buy. And so again, you're connecting to their assets as decision makers and plugging that into the decision making that they can make and participate in a school, whether it's a site-based campus or how to reduce problems of discipline, whatever it is. And then the last circle, which we're most interested in, is parent as leader and trainer of other parents. And the model of leadership that we're looking here at is one of somebody who is compassionate and cares about other families. In other words, somebody who can identify and welcome them into the circle of connecting with the public school system, with schools. Because it's in that process that we're also modeling a participatory leadership. The process itself, just like good professional development with teachers, follows very important principles of adult education, that what the learner has and brings is very important. It's part of the grist for the middle of the curriculum. What the parent brings and their participation, their hands-on activities, are as important as they are for teachers. You go to a conference and the hands-on workshops are the ones the teachers go to. Well, the parents is no different. Just like we as professionals like to eat when we go to a meal, it's not a matter you don't feed them, they don't come. No, we all enjoy that. And so if that can be present, and if I'm coming from work to the meeting and you provide that, that's perfect. In other words, you shift the idea of what's wrong with them and we have to fix and the deficit, and saying what do they already have and what will make this meeting, this communication so important. When Ann was talking about bonding and connection, it's these connections that's so important. In Latino families that are recent immigrants, the child has traditionally been the language bridge. The child translates for family. Migrant working families from South Texas that every year for generations have come up north to pick crops have used the children many times as the one who negotiates the language when they buy hamburgers at the hamburger joint and when they get to where they're going to pick the crops. Well, now the children are also the bridge for technology. They help the parent get online and find the website for their campus and see how they stand on AYP. All these are things that you can spot very easily and very well when you're valuing what they already bring, or you're looking at them from the point of their assets. McKnight's concept of asset mapping is very powerful, very important here. The other thing is that the language is so important that I think you have to figure out not just who are the culture brokers, but that anybody who's bilingual is worth their weight in gold. Rather than have translations with people with earphones, you mix it up in such a way so that every table, because it is participatory, you have people that can bridge the language from Spanish to English, whatever languages are present. So that when you plan and you look at it, the assets you're looking for is also who are the language bridges in the community. I'll stop there.
That was terrific. Thank you, Aurelio. That's great. That's terrific. Again, please be sure and submit your questions. We're lucky to have these panelists here available today to answer your questions. And now we'll welcome Jane Grinde. Jane will talk about best practices and challenges in influencing success in the area of parent involvement. Jane is the Director for Community Learning and Partnerships for the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, where she's worked since 1981. She formerly directed DPI's Media Relations and Communications, and she's also served as Communications Director for the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. Jane served on the National Education Goal 8 Parental Participation Resource Group to develop standards for meeting the goals for parental involvement. Jane, welcome.
Thank you. It's really good to be here, and I feel so fortunate to learn from these people. And I've already asked Aurelio to come to Wisconsin to speak because he's right on, and as is Sharon and Ann Henderson and all of these people. As a parent myself of 4 children, I understand the struggles parents go through. I really believe that parenting is the hardest but also the most rewarding job in the world. There are times when I certainly feel like a dysfunctional parent and no doubt am hard to reach. But I am fortunate, and that's why I have no clue as to how the hard-working, low-income, especially single parents really do it. And we really need to take our hats off to these people, as Aurelio said. I want to tell you from a state perspective, since I'm here as a leader in the State Department of Education in Wisconsin, what we've been doing, just a couple of the things that we've been doing. We have in Wisconsin an elected state superintendent and no state board of education. Wisconsin really is a local control state. So when we are saying that you have to do this, we have to really encourage the schools to do it as opposed to putting the heavy hammer down on them. We have found, and you've heard all the speakers talk about this, about building the trusting relationships first. And it really must be relationships before content if anything is going to happen. All of us know what the good things are, and I looked at all of your websites, and I know that from your summaries that you submitted to before this program that you are doing wonderful things. But the matter is, how do we really get it to the parents, and how do we enable the parents who are so busy in their everyday lives to do the things that they really know they must do and they really want to do? So we need the magic wand that will do that. Our state superintendent, Elizabeth Libby Burmaster, is president-elect of the Council of Chief State School Officers. And along with that job, she also chairs a committee that is looking at No Child Left Behind and the kinds of changes that will be suggested to Congress to be made. Surely, No Child Left Behind, the concept is an excellent one, but how can we fine-tune it? Last week, she met with her Parent Leadership Corps, and she has a Parent Leadership Corps, Parent Advisory Council, which I staff as part of my job. And we had a lively discussion with these parents who represent a diverse group in Wisconsin. We have multicultural, the Hmong parents, the Hispanic parents, the African American, the European American. We have the low income and the high income. But all of these parents truly care, and we did engage in a wonderful discussion with Libby, our state superintendent, about No Child Left Behind. And the consensus was yes, we will provide a parent perspective in her work, in Libby's committee, to tell what things they do like and what things can be changed to make it even better. This Parent Leadership Corps is also responsible for developing the policy on family school community partnerships for our agency. And the policy, while it's a good one, it's not as impactful as we might think because the policy is there, but how many of us really take the time to look at it? A more impactful or effective activity that the council has done or the Corps has done is to come up with an in-service that parents can deliver to school staff on what parents want school staff to know. So often it's hard for us as parents, and I'm putting myself in the parent role right now, to tell teachers what they would really like them to know. And they came up with 10 things, and then we organized them into the 3 R's: respect, relationships, and rules. And we developed a PowerPoint and an in-service activity that parents can deliver to the teachers on this. And it starts with building the relationship, building the respect between the parents and the teachers. Obviously, we know that most teachers are parents as well, and when we're talking about our children, who are our most important, what is most important to us, we all put up a little bit of a barrier, we all put up a little bit of a defense. So how do we really break that down and really communicate with each other and bring together what gifts we have to offer, because all of us, whether we're professional educators or parents, have something to offer in the education of our children. We are very pleased to be a part of the National Network of Partnership Schools, which is out of Johns Hopkins University, which has a wonderful handbook and a wonderful process. Joyce Epstein directs that process, and it's our pleasure in Wisconsin. We are one of the charter states. We joined 10 years ago. And Joyce Epstein follows the research. Ann Henderson's comments about the research. Joyce has the process, or the National Network of Partnership Schools has an action team process which can put into effect the research. The action team process is whereby you have in your school, by school building or district level, you have an action team that ties into the school improvement process. It includes parents, teachers, and the administrator, and perhaps some students and community members. You look at your school goals, and then you develop practices based on or over the 6 types of partnerships. And the 6 types of partnerships are parenting, the role of parents, communicating, learning at home, volunteering, decision making, and collaborating with the community. So with your action team, you develop your plan of action for the year with your practices based on the 6 types. And you don't have to be exact about making sure that you have every one of those types, but in all reality, the types are so practical that every school is doing something in those types. It's a matter of putting those types into an organized practice, tying it into your school improvement goals so that you can measure what you are doing and see results and celebrate your good work and show that you are really achieving something. So the research is very clear, the research is practical, and what we can do is very practical. It's taking the time and having the commitment and building the relationships to do it.
That's terrific. Thank you, Jane. That was wonderful. We appreciate it. We do have a few questions in, which is great. So we'll go quickly, and I think as luck would have it, we have questions in that all 3 of you can address. So Sharon, we'll start with you, if that's okay.
Great.
And let me ask, one of our participants today has asked, how do you engage parents who are at the lowest end of the literacy scale? Have any practical suggestions there?
I think we heard a lot today about respect and valuing someone's culture, but I also think we have to look at parents as learners. That, you know, we're teachers, we're people who understand how people learn, and if we can take them from not just looking at ways that we can communicate to them about how to help their children, but actually look at what can we do to help them learn the skills and the knowledge they need. Take them where they are and treat them as if we would any learner, that, you know, here's what they know and here's where they want to go, and see if we can help them get there.
That's a great answer. Either of you have anything to add there?
I'd just like to mention that a great uncle of mine, one of my dad's uncles, used to sign his name by making a little X. My dad grew up in a little village in Mexico, and one of the things that people that aren't literate, they still have a lot of qualities, and civility is not out the window, so that if I approach you as less than because you're not literate, I'm already dehumanizing you. And in pre-literate societies, there was a lot of value there. Mm-hmm. In our workshops, we have a lot of times drawings where people will draw their vision for their children, and they all participate, whether they know how to read or write, whatever language they know, so that there's many tools you use for communication that you don't need reading and writing for, and that's part of the essence.
That's a great. 2 great answers. Yeah, Jen?
And I'd like to suggest something as a parent. I have a 2nd grader, and we've done classroom suppers. If you can start at the lowest level and get parents to know each other, I feel so much better when I can talk and get to know the parents of the other children in my son's class. And we did it as a classroom supper, and I initiated it with my 2nd grade teacher. And after the supper, we did a World Cafe process, and I would encourage you to Google World Cafe and learn more about it, because it's a wonderful process to get people to talk together and get to know each other.
That's great. Those are great practical ideas from all 3 of you. That's terrific. Here's a question in, and let me see if I can paraphrase this quickly for you. The question is, language diversity poses some challenges and costs when parental involvement is increased. what resources, and there's a big underline here that says i.e. dollars for resources, are available to support programs that support parent involvement when parents have different language